moving on, we have Advent Rising review by MandaloreGaming. This is also a sci-fi game, I suppose. From what I remember, it's a piece of shit. But I played it when I was a teenager, and I gotta say I don't remember much of it. I saw that Mandalore has like reviewed it, and Mandalore reviewed a lot of games I played when I was younger, and those are always great. Like his Ghostmaster review was such a blast from the past to me, so I really wanted to see this. From what I remember, this game was trying really hard to like copy Halo, but I don't know if that's just my memory fuckery or if that's actually like something that is going on in game. So yeah, let's get into this. Let's get into this video and see what Mandalore has to say.
Monsters! The monsters! Oh! I can't.
Okay, I immediately see this Jeep riding section, and that literally fucking looks like Warthog from Halo, so I think I answered my question right away.
It's 2005. I'm sitting in a movie theater for Revenge of the Sith, which will confuse me in a lot of ways. But before all that, a trailer played for Advent Rising. At the time, this blew my mind. I had never seen a trailer for a video game in a movie theater before. My friends told me they had only seen that happen before with Halo 2. It seemed like a big deal, and that connection's not a coincidence. The game started to be known as a Halo killer. It even outright said it would be the start of a trilogy of games.
God.
To make it even more legit, it would be written by Orson Scott Card. His name was all over any copy of the game. And for a sci-fi game, it should be. The man wrote Ender's Game. Schools here still have that as required reading sometimes. But not my class. Oh no, I had to read a book where what happened? I think a Jewish kid gets hit with a baseball, and I don't remember the rest, but whatever. Ender's
I loved how you could kick characters of a ship and they would fall to the floor of the space, you know, the vacuum of space. I remember it being more similar to Star Wars cash grabs. Oh man, I really have like minimal memories pertaining to Advent Rising. The only thing I remember is that it came to me personally in a Polish gaming magazine, one of those that sold bootleg video games that were not officially licensed. So just this game appearing there already fucking says something. And I played like maybe 3 hours of it, and at some point I just fucking gave up as a child. So I don't have like any vivid memories of like the combat or whatever.
game is great, and the sequel is just...
the story, like, I don't remember anything about the story, man.
Just as good in other ways. Some people think it's even better. After that, you have Xenocide. It has interesting ideas, but not as exciting as the title would make you think. Then Children of the Mind is... It's different. There are spin-off books too. Wow, look at those. The Steam page now says working with Orson Scott Card, which, as we'll talk about, is much more accurate. The trilogy never happened, and you should know how Halo killers go. It ran horribly on Xbox, but now on PC it's pretty good. The one thing that's choppy everywhere is some of the cutscenes. It's the video files themselves, and the lip syncing can be rough. There's actually a mod that re-edits most of the cutscenes, fixes some bugs, and adds widescreen support. Fortunately, I talked to GOG about it, and they just integrated it into the base game. Steam has it too, so no need to monkey with downloads. So okay, good on Advent Revising for doing that. I can start the game with no hassle.
Orson Scott Card had some books where if they came out today, they would raise a lot of eyebrows. We're talking Chris Hansen territory. What the fuck? Mainly it was this weird one about a guy's ghost sister he dates, sleeps with, who was controlled by a little girl. What the fuck? I had no idea. I never read anything by Orson Scott Card. But that sounds wild.
Okay. Well, okay then.
Interesting.
Okay, the real story starts here. You play as Gideon Wyeth, and honestly I kept forgetting his name. I keep wanting to call him Terry because it's the Batman Beyond voice actor.
Do you always make your approaches upside down?
Hey, Ethan. You know that this view is one of my favorite things about being a pilot?
So Gideon's brother Ethan is a hotshot pilot and war hero. He fought in something called the Independence Wars, which I assume was some kind of breakaway thing since they're by a faraway alien planet, but I'm not too sure. What is important is that humanity is in the middle of first contact.
Where do you see the alien ship with your own eyes? The vids they've been showing don't do it justice.
Whoa. How big is this thing?
It's big. Watch out for secondaries from the alien vessel. Their activity back and forth from the surface has been increasing. CNC is still trying to figure out why.
Copy that. Starting my... Whoa.
Good timing there. The music swells and the Kmart Covenant are here. They do seem peaceful, so once you pilot your ship into the human space station, the game begins. Well, Gideon looks like a noodle person. Actually, all of humanity look like noodle people. And you've got this Jack and Daxter-like NBA high jump, so you go, oh, this must be like an adventure platformer. Then you go to training, and it turns out that Gideon knows gun kata.
Yeah,
And this is before he gets space magic. But
I sorta remember this fucking gameplay. I remember like the slow-mo being really obnoxious and not good at all.
I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I'll start with the graphics. On a technical level, for an Xbox game, it's pretty decent, especially considering how big some of these maps can get. Looking back, Advent Rising struggling to run on the Xbox makes a lot of sense. The character models are still detailed, and the game has some really cool shader effects, which does make it weird when they're lined up next to the kind of blocky looking textures. It makes me wonder why they made these scenes so big instead of just scaling it back and improving what they had. Well, I do have a guess. Most Halo killers I've played really want to be Halo. It's clear from the intro with the big purple ship and the epic orchestra music, but then you fight the evil aliens who have different colors based on their rank. You know, red, blue, elite gold ones. They use energy weapons while humanity still uses bullets. These are just broad strokes. There's a lot more weird specific examples. But by the time you get to the first not warthog section, it's very clear this
That's just a fucking warthog, man. What the fuck?
game wouldn't be how it was without Halo. Except in Halo, the AI can actually drive you. I mean, it's fine to be inspired by things, and Halo certainly was. But as the game goes on, it just becomes kind of funny how blatantly they're doing it. So you have these grassy fields with rocks and strange alien structures. It's way bigger than Halo. It is larger, but drab and pointless. The more confined maps generally look and play so much better. They take advantage of the mechanics instead of throwing you into a big field to own zone some aliens. Some are for vehicle sections, but again, the bigger the map, the more barren the actual gameplay is. It is possible there was meant to be way more stuff here, but it was cut down for the Xbox. I don't know. The actual character art style is another mystery. The people have these cartoony, exaggerated forms, but nothing else in the game is like that. The design of everything else and the tone is going for realism. Now, I admit this could just be because Orson Scott Card's name was all over this game, but I feel a strange kind of disconnect that I can't quite put my finger on. I don't hate it or anything, it's just kind of odd to me. I would have liked if they embraced the unique art style. I'm not sure what this was going for. The environments have a clean, kind of 70s sci-fi look to them. A lot of people have said it reminds them of Mass Effect 1, and I agree. Doubly so when you get space magic and get some of the same biotic powers. Some people say Mass Effect copied them, but on this one I don't think so. Everyone knows what Star Wars is, and Jedi Academy had been out for a few years now. Advent Rising has a very vanilla flavor of space magic. It is interesting there was also going to be a trilogy where decisions would carry over through save importing, but as you know, that didn't happen. As a Los Angeles CSI member would say, I think there's some DNA here, but I can't tell how much. Oh right, the shadows. Don't try to turn dynamic shadows on. I tried for ages to fix them, but the only thing I could do was get some blob shadows to work, and that only happened when they felt like it. Turns out they only work on a specific ATI card from 2003, so good luck. As for the sound
fuck?
design, it's also decent. The weapons have a good variety of effects, and it adds some impact to the combat. I do like the silly whoosh effects when you're reloading or flipping or anything else really.
I remembered wrong, this is way more of a Halo wannabe than I recalled. Yeah. I think what's crazy is that I played this first. And then, like, years later, I played Halo, which is fucking insane when I think back to that. Because obviously I only played PC things because I didn't own a fucking Xbox. No, I owned a PlayStation at that point. I just wasn't interested in playing it for some reason.
That's a good feature. Very welcome. The voice acting is good, and I do have to give them bonus points. They are working with some rough dialogue.
I'm supposed to believe that there are not only one, but two advanced alien species out there with a simultaneous interest in little old Edamea. I mean, millions of years go by without so much as a hello there from the great beyond, and for some reason, they both picked today to come out of the closet?
Yeah, that is some very rough dialogue.
Oh, this is too good.
You destroyed my world.
Oh dear, the little savage is upset. I have personally slain more of your pitiful kind than ever lived on that sad little rock you call home. You are going to wish you had died with the rest of your sorry world. My kind has perfected the art of slaughtering humans, little man.
It is Direction 2, but this is hard to work with. It's really the random NPCs that get deep in the beans.
Take that.
The most fascinating part is the music.
There's way worse Halo wannabe games you could have played. You could have played Fire Warrior. Yeah, Fire Warrior looked fucking rough, which is also a 40k game and one of the most miserable experiences I have ever had. I seen Mandalore's review of Fire Warrior. It doesn't look good. I'm just not gonna sugarcoat it. It looked fucking terrible.
Music is genuinely amazing. Like, the gap between quality of music and quality of game might be higher here than anything I've played outside of, like, an old Tim Fallen project. The issues come in with how they use it. Let's look at some cutscene clips where they have complete control of what's happening.
What? Oh my god, he's so fucking epic. He can lift that thing. He could have just grabbed. Oh my god. A floating triangle. Man, the music is so fucking good. It feels so wasted on this game.
The music really brings that grand scale the game was trying for. The problem is the music is pretty clearly separated into hype and be sad. It works out sometimes when what happens on screen matches up perfectly.
The floor's been blown out. We've got to climb down.
All good. Now imagine you're just walking through a hall.
That's solid. That's solid right there.
Hallway. Or doing nothing.
That's not so much. And that's why your game needs some dynamic music, you know, when you enter combat, it changes like subtly and starts picking up, and maybe the longer the combat goes, it builds up more, you know, and not fucking static music where you're just going through corridors to like the most epic theme imaginable.
It's also a very similar melody, over and over again. Everything you're doing is just the most important thing ever. This will be my last Halo comparison, and it's an important one. Bungie knew where to use their music and how to break it up. The big exciting music is used appropriately for the moment. Here's what Advent Rising does. Marty isn't unleashing the strings
Fucking imagine if Halo was actually like this.
while you're staring at rocks. Trying to make every little thing huge ultimately makes nothing stand out. This needed some more low-key music at points, or just silence like here. Still, it's a very good soundtrack. Sometimes it does bug out and it'll play the cutscene music at the same time as the level music. It's usually so over the top that sometimes I couldn't tell, but there are cutscene controls to restart it. Except for one time it cursed me and played the healing sound over and over again. You should expect some sound bugs from time to time. Okay, my mistake. I looked up Xbox footage of this, and that is the intended sound effect. Please, continue. As you play, the gameplay does evolve
What
a bit, so I
the
need to talk about the
fuck?
story here and there. When Terry first gets
Man, I missed old Bungie. Same. Hey, isn't it crazy that literally every single fucking company, video game company, goes down the drain with years? Without a miss. Every video game company, I thought it's gonna be forever and it's gonna be strong until the day, until hit death of the universe. They fucking went down the drain. Like, Rockstar at some point was one of the most respected studios in the fucking world. Now they just make GTA 5. Naughty Dog, after The Last of Us 1, man, was so beloved. Now, after The Last of Us 2 and all of those remakes, holy shit. BioWare! Man, BioWare! Oh, BioWare, what happened to you? Holy fuck. I'm pretty sure EA had its moment too, but it was very brief compared to those other games. Ubisoft was also, at the peak of Ubisoft, people would have laughed you off the face of the earth if you said that they're gonna go down such a scumfuck route, you know. It's insane. Like, every single studio you can think of sooner or later, like, goes down in flames. Only sometimes I guess Capcom is still hanging in there. EA definitely had that moment when Lord of the Rings came out. Yeah, and also EA had like a bunch of really fucking good sports games. When sports games were actually good back in the day, which is also a whole nother fucking like a whole nother topic.
in the station, he needs to
Oh yeah, also EA did make Dead Space. Kinda.
do some weapons training. Advent Rising has a unique control scheme. In the same way there are road signs warning of unique children. On PC, you aim by using your mouse's scroll wheel to aim left or right. This is awkward, but seems like a thing you would get used to. On PC, you could have free aim and it should work out fine, but this was based around Xbox, who actually had it way worse here. Because the right stick controlled your camera and aiming, so you just want to move the camera and end up locking onto another target. It's awful here because you and the game don't always agree on what you're aiming at. When the system is working, the camera's spinning all over the place. You're quickly aiming at things behind you, things out of sight. It's already a chaotic game, so sometimes I didn't realize
Oh, the weapons were so weird in this game, that I also remember.
something was bugging out. A bad man in front of me would just stop dying. It does look sick if you don't actually get sick from the camera whipping around. It does suck to try and hit something and then you aim completely in another direction. You could get tempted to plug a controller in and try, but it's not better. Plus, if you plug one in during the game, things will really start spinning. I think this should be a controller game, but the targeting system makes that difficult. When it's working how it's intended, it can be fun. When it's not a lobotomized Drake of the 99 Dragons, it can be a unique version of Max Payne. Saying that is incredibly generous. Essentially, you level up your weapons by using them. They might just be increased effectiveness, but you can unlock alt-fires and other cool stuff. This also extends to jumping and dodging. The more you flail around in combat, the better you get at it. Movements get a passive slow-mo effect added, animations change. I really appreciate when games do this over just bigger numbers. You don't go from chump to demigod though, since from the beginning, Gideon is pretty insane. I have to sprinkle some story in here. On the station, Gideon hangs out with his brother Ethan and talks to his fiancée, Girl. Girl is a scientist, so you might think she has a bigger role to play in a First Contact story. But no. You're not supposed to want Girl's scientific insight, you want to be inside of her pants. I mean, Jesus, it's more than a cake, it's like the whole birthday party. At least by Code Geass Barilla Pasta people.
The David Cage way of writing female characters.
Standards. After murdering an Australian in a boss fight, you go to meet the aliens.
What?
These are the Aurelians, and they're more than just friendly. Not wanting to risk anyone important, they give Gideon the universal translator. The Aurelians aren't just here to help and trade with us, but they view humanity as gods. I don't know about you, but I find this baffling. Either the Aurelians are deeply, deeply disturbed, or they picked up some really convincing Heaven's Gate members. But they're also here to warn us of an enemy alien race, the Seekers.
They will come, and this time, they will leave no survivors.
How long do we have?
Maybe 2 days. Probably less.
2 days? What can we do in 2 days?
This is a great tragedy. You will all be killed.
What kind of weapons will they be using?
They throw rocks.
Rocks? They throw rocks?
Asteroids.
The Seekers then show up instantly, not even 2 days of prep time. They
Lamau.
attack the colony station and, true to their name, start scanning people. They're looking for something, but it's not clear what. This leads into the big and only story decision of the game. Both Ethan and Girl are hurt and you can only help one into an escape pod. It looked like a choice, but the first time I played it loaded me in already holding Girl. At first I thought it was a cut choice because I didn't want Girl, I would have saved Ethan. On playing the game again, I got to choose properly. It does spawn you right next to Girl, so I'm sure it bugged for more than one person. You crash on the planet, then need to escape it before the Seekers destroy it. You and whoever you save meet up with a new character named Captain Steel. This interaction goes way better if you have your hero brother with you.
I imagine you'd like some help prepping for takeoff?
Sure.
It looks like there may have been a turret section planned here, but instead you go right to the Aurelians. It's here that you learn how to use space magic.
I had a serious bit of whiplash. That scene in the bar was when I first turned the game off and played Nightcaster instead. Weird bit of nostalgia. That's the funniest fucking thing ever, like remembering something like really cool just because you saw the shit you turned off to go do the cool thing instead. That's fucking hilarious. I think I also saved Ethan when I got back to the game. It does seem like the game, the more obvious thing to do. I mean, the protagonist has literally more fucking interactions with his brother than the woman TM.
Now, I appreciate when a story doesn't explain every stupid detail on how a power works, but they give you nothing special here.
Earlier you mentioned something about hidden powers?
I am a remnant of the ancient religion, human. All of the civilized races have individuals with the seeds of this power. Our prophecies.
Okay, no one knows how it works, but they believe that the Force comes from humans. They use their downtime to show Terry silently practicing his new Mindgate conspiracy brain powers. It's like there should be a voiceover here explaining a little more about what he's doing and what's going on. Instead, they just say he's a wizard, which is really strange for a sci-fi setting like this. Who cares? You have magic now. You get to play around with it in a space battle, and then whoever you saved dies.
Lamau. Classic Telltale like thing where you save a person and they die immediately in the next section, so they don't have to do too much work between like the two versions of the game.
The powers you get are a joy and more unlock automatically as you play the game. They have the same mastery level up system too, so they get better and better. Though like the weapons, there's nothing really out there with them. You have a force push, a lift, you can shoot energy or ice, which gets really absurd in the endgame. Slow time, the Vanguard charge, there's still a lot here. Combine that with all the weapons you have and there are a lot of ways to play this game. Sadly, equipping a power does take up a weapon slot. This means no supercharging around carrying dual pistols or something like that, which I would have liked, but the controls are already weird enough as is. Even with that barrier, the game can be enjoyable. Yet, right behind the weird control layer are two more. The first being the enemy variety. They run out of new stuff to throw at you very fast, with the exception of some boss fights. Even when new things showed up, they never really altered how I played the game. The enemies and the weapons are just too similar to each other. Because on the surface it seems like there should be a lot of variety, but in practice it feels very repetitive to play. The levels I talked about before contribute to this since you just fight in a big empty plane. You'll see a big flat area full of enemies for a battle, but then you could just walk around it. I'm not sure how to word this, but enemies will frequently feel less like obstacles and more like decoration. You could run way over there to fight aliens, but it's pointless. There's not like a hidden weapon or anything like that in the maps. You'll also blatantly see allies and enemies just respawning endlessly in front of you in some parts. I like protecting NPCs in these kinds of games, but here there's no reason to. They just come back. And the enemies stay so much worse because they'll respawn 3 feet behind you. You take the camera off it and the game plops down 3, 4, 5 enemies there. And where it happens endlessly.
That's terrible.
It's not just them pouring out of a door or something. It's a shorter game too, but by the end I was so sick of the combat. If the camera spins around, you wipe out a group of enemies and can move on, then great. When it's set up like this, the camera can endlessly spin around and around as you kill enemies forever for no reason. It goes from being a space adventure into some kind of purgatory. I would guess they did this to make up for the AI, which isn't very good and breaks frequently, which leads me to the next layer of just how broken this game is. Even with a fan patch that fixes quite a few bugs integrated, they're still everywhere. The camera freaks out and locks you into an angle, an ally blocks off an elevator. Enemies getting elevators stuck, so you have to AoE to get it to move. A door you need to go through refuses to open until you restart the entire level. Stuck in a wall, stuck moonwalking, stuck hanging from my hopes and dreams. Stuck is such a frequent word. How about stuck in a first-person mode which should not exist? And of course you have your occasional crashes. This is highly unstable. But before I finish, I do want to talk a little bit more about the story. To sum it up, it's abrupt.
They have pulled back to regroup for the final onslaught. It has been the highest honor. Halt! These are ours! Status report.
We've just secured the main ports and transit points of Abranas. The Eastern Rebels' defenses are crumbling.
The story is paced like it's late for work. The rest of the game after the colony escape becomes escape the Aurelian homeworld and tell the Galactic Council and the Seekers. So much was said with so little happening that I actually looked on Wikipedia. These 2 sentences are over half the game, which would be fine if they weren't trying to make the story seem bigger than it is. Check out this breakneck roller coaster of tone shifting.
You know, it just occurred to me that this is the only thing I have left from home.
You mean you forgot to pack underwear? Hey, I was just kidding. Your underwear is your own business.
You can't come on this mission, Marin.
Oh, yes, I can.
Let me explain. There's nothing left of our world. Nothing left of humanity. To venture out on a ridiculously dangerous mission with both of us? I don't know what I was thinking. If I lost you, I mean, if either of us were lost.
He recovered from girl dying quick. I thought the Seekers only wiped out a human planet, but he's talking like they're Adam and Eve. Apparently all of humanity is likely wiped out, and I found out after an underwear joke? There were opportunities to talk about the scale of this happening, but they only talked about this planet. Unless this is the only human planet left and the wars wipe things out? I don't know. It doesn't establish its setting well. And they do so little with the characters even though there's opportunity to. Terry living in the shadow of his heroic brother, losing him and having to measure up to him is an interesting idea. I honestly expected more cliche moping about his brother, but that didn't happen outside of a single scene right after. It's so strange because there are set up obvious things to do, but instead nothing happens. There are so many cutscenes of characters being introduced and then dying 10 minutes later. If this sounds off for an Orson Scott Card story, it's because it's not his story. He wrote the dialogue for Advent Rising, and not all of it. The main story was written by the designer and his brother who had never made a game before. The brothers did end up making the Infinity Blade series, which was a really good franchise on mobile. The last I saw it was pulled for reasons unknown. Advent Rising actually had some comics released too, which did explore the characters a little better. Though it is just covering the same events with some interesting artwork, you can never expect a perfect adaptation. At the end of the game, they get to the council and Captain Steel reveals that she's magic too. Roll credits. Now, what if I told you the story gets interesting after this?
What?
The Senate recognizes Commander Inorum Tenspur, envoy from the client world Aurelia.
Members of the Senate, I have come before you today with news that is both shocking and unavoidable.
This does become Star Wars prequel territory for a bit, so I'll condense it down. The Seekers have been active for over 1,000 years, uplifting other species into the Galactic Council. They've acted very nobly, except for this recent deal with humanity. So it takes a human to accuse them.
I am here to accuse the Seekers of destroying my world. I was witness to their bloody arrival on Idumea, their deliberate and directed murder of my fellow people, and the complete eradication of my—
This is simply unbelievable! These charges are preposterous! The Seekers are responsible for the sapiency of many of us in this very room.
I recommend that you use your vaunted sapiency, Senator, for this data is undeniable.
The Enkul have requested the floor, as is the right of the accused.
There's a lot more bickering. Until...
Hello, brother.
Ethan.
This drama.
What the fuck is happening?
You look upon a true human, my children. The collective history, the countless religions, all bear witness to me. You know this to be true. The beauty of my divine form has been worshipfully rendered by your artists since time immemorial.
The mixing makes it hard to understand at points, but I'm interested in where this is going. Whoever you saved for the escape pod wasn't killed. They were turned into a being called a Korim or Korim, something like that. Whatever they are, they claim to be the real humanity. They claim to have ordered the secret genocide of humanity because humans as we know them are a race of frauds. Which is true, but in this case we were imitating the Quorum's divine form. Human beings are part of the plan of some unknown usurper. This does raise a lot of questions. Are the Quorums something of the Seeker's creation they use to dominate the Galactic Council? Are they actually under orders from the Quorum?
Marilyn Manson dare to accuse the aliens. Lamau, yeah.
They can convert
this fucking ending is crazy. What the
certain
fuck?
humans to them somehow. Maybe their telekinetic Jimmy Neutron brains make them really into eugenics. You're not a true human unless you have the Force. This reveal opens up a lot of intrigue and can move some things forward, but it's happening at the last possible second. At least you do get to fight a god like it's some kind of JRPG, but this is such a waste. Halligan then opens up a black hole which sucks up the monster and himself, accidentally getting banished to the Himalayas. This is the end, all hope is lost.
Come with me, human. There is much to be done.
It's hilarious that this game thought it's gonna get a sequel.
I don't think it's being continued. The marketing machine for this game was huge. There would be more comics, Orson Scott Card would write a novel, there would be 2 more games to come, but none of that happened. There was also a contest to win $1 million by finding secrets in-game. This was shut down under the pretense of cheating, but in reality the studio and publisher were running out of money. No, it didn't kill Halo, and yes, overall I think it's a bad game. There are cool ideas in that, but the polish is unbearable, and the story is all over the place, but nowhere at the same time. Advent Rising is good remake material. I would love to see the idea fleshed out properly, because
they thought they were cooking. Oh man, somebody should have fucking kept them away from the stove.
Even with all the jank, there are these flashes of being a superhuman warrior that are great. Even
as a famous chef would say, it's fucking raw! It's disgusting. Ghastly.
After getting a fan patch integrated into it, I can't really recommend it. No matter what happens with it, I'm pretty sure the soundtrack will live on, even if it's just in some people's Supreme Commander playlists from time to time. Come back next time for another CRPG, one that's been taking a long time to record.
Heartburn? Even worse, things get, messy. Ew.
Damn.
Okay, that's it for now. Stay safe. What is it with Halo killers and these alarms going?
So yeah, I remembered correctly. This game is kind of a piece of shit. There are so many other games I would love to see remade instead of Advent Rising, though I mentioned Nightcaster and that game is great but never got moved to modern systems. Oh yeah, there are plenty of other games I would want to get remakes. Other than this, I wish, because literally at the beginning of this year we got a remake of Persona 3. I really wish Persona 1 and 2 got some kind of remake. Personal to me, very personal to me, I wish, because there was a remake of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 in the making before they shut down the studio for no fucking reason, because Activision sucks complete dick. Fuck them. I personally wish that released, because I love me some Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. The Zanf adventure game I mentioned before had a lot of charm before the bullshit. Yeah, it's like the list of potential games that are potentially good for a remake is endless. Truly endless. But some of them are, some of them, like the rights, are unclear to who has them.